funny stories. I'm not sure there's many funny stories.
Funny
There's a lot of pain and heartache. I'm not sure I'm a funny story. Okay, so I did all the naming. This is before James was even involved. So it was about, I don't know, we just worked a timeline. So I think I must have started Huel about, in my mind anyway, just about maybe probably December 2013.
See, I didn't realise it was so long before I got involved. I knew it was a bit, but I didn't realise it was as much as 6 months.
We see my Huel span out of a previous company, and I'd burnt some money in that company, so I was a little bit reluctant to go too fast with something new, because obviously I don't think my wife was too keen on me burning money. So I wanted this time. So I put a bit more thoughts, a bit more planning into the basics of, am I sure this is going to go somewhere? What does the company look like? What would the positioning be? What should the name of the company be? Has this really got legs? How is it going to be competitive against other products, etc., etc.? And I tried to get it clear in my head before I committed any money to anybody. And obviously, when I found you, I had to pay you a fee to do a consult. So I didn't really want to spend too much money. So I spent quite a few months just really thinking about it. And naming of any company is stupidly hard, I think, and really important. I think the name actually has panned out to be a really big strength for us.
Yeah.
But the early names, you start thinking about, Nike's come from a Greek god or a Roman god, so you go and look at stuff like that. You look at names in different languages. So name is stupidly hard and really, really important. So I did come up with a few names, and one of the books I sort of believe in and read, that one of his advices in terms of names is you want a unique name. So one way he said to do that is you actually take two words and you combine them together. So you take letters from two words and combine it. It means you make a unique word, and that is the root of Huel, which is human fuel.
Portmanteau, isn't it?
And but one of the other names was kibble is dog food, right? But it's complete dog food. And you put human in it, so you put the two words together, and you end up with Hibble, and so that was one of the very early names.
You ran the two by me, Hibble and Huel. I don't recall any others that you toyed with. Yeah. You ran them by me. What do you think? And I said, well, Huel. At the time, I was running a shop, Muscle Talk website, and I was doing consultancy. I was doing consultancy for years, and that was kind of the extras, and the shop wasn't doing very well at all. And so I relied on the projects, and they were like client here, advice here and advice there. But occasionally I'd pick up a bit of a bigger project, and then I got this email from this guy called Julian, who had this idea, and I thought, oh, okay. So I quoted Julian, he accepted straight away, and I went home and told my wife, oh, we've got a good month this month, got a nice little earner. This will be all right, and. Yeah, it did turn out to be quite a good month, and Julian paid a deposit and then paid quickly. I think I estimated it would take me, this was the original report with the basic formula. I think I estimated it would take me about 18 hours or whatever, and I underestimated, but, it's, I quite enjoyed doing it as well, which was a good thing. And I came up with the rough ingredients, and then Julian obviously liked what I did. And there was a couple of other little projects came out of that, wasn't there? You wanted me to do this,
so we
a few other
worked more
bits.
and more together over time. But
and then you came and saw me at the shop once, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then sort of grew from that.
So obviously finding James was, because obviously I could cover off most of the startup of the business in terms of branding, the marketing, the position and the naming. I could do all of that. But the one area I was weak on was nutrition. So of course I thought, well, it's going to be a food product. I need to get the nutrition bang on. So I thought, right, I'm going to try and find the best nutritionist I could, or best dietitian that I could. And spoke to a guy in Australia before I spoke to you, believe it or not. Spoke to a guy in America. And they both seemed to be okay. They sort of knew some of their stuff, but they seemed to be sort of regurgitating sort of the normal stuff. But I knew a bit about nutrition, but they just seemed to be saying a lot of the sort of stuff that I expected them to hear. They didn't really have depth of knowledge that I really wanted. And then when I found James, he's got the sort of perfect combination with academic background of actually doing a degree in nutrition, working for the National Health in terms of food intolerances, etc., and being a clinical dietitian for the National Health. But he's worked with people that actually really need to utilise nutrition to get performance. So it's academic knowledge plus practical knowledge. So he's worked with bodybuilders and strongmen and athletes, so they get the best out of nutrition rather than just saying, oh, this is a good thing to eat. He actually knows whether it's a good thing to eat or not. And so when I found James, I felt he had that combination, that those things which are really important. So we did a small project together, and I was pleased with the project, and then therefore we worked more and more. And because James has got contacts in the sort of food industry as well, he helped me with some other stuff, and over time we got closer and closer together and realised that I'd like to invite him on board as a co-founder, just around launch.
So it worked out all right, really. It did, because like I said, the shop wasn't doing very well at the time, so financially, when I was getting these little projects from Julian, it was actually quite helpful for me. But yeah, it's good. Enjoyed the work as well. It was really interesting. And the first project I did, we looked at the protein from two angles. We did a non-vegan and a vegan version. Just as Julian said, look, we should look at this. So I did it with whey originally, but immediately I also did it with the protein alternatives and combined the proteins, which we still do now. And you said we should go for the vegan. It just comes up with extra, doesn't it?
The key question I had is it any better nutritionally to be non-vegan? Because obviously vegan's got to be better for the world in terms of reduction in carbon emissions, for example. So I said, is it any better? Is there any benefits? And you said, no, if you put two vegan proteins together, you get a really good amino acid profile, and the bioavailability is very good. Therefore, it's just as good, if not better, than some of the whey proteins. So I thought, well, what we can do good for the world as well as making a good nutritional product. Best decision.
I know what your best decision is. Inviting me on board.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you say that, but the formula is the same one we use today, right? So we sort of did, or you hit the nail on the head first time, arguably, which is obviously done really well. The growth from day one's been really strong. So best decisions, I suppose, getting the formula right first time. So you could say that's down to James.
Thank you.
I think the name and the branding has been has really paid dividends for us.
The plain packaging.
Yeah, the simplicity of it means it appeals to a new type of audience that might have not used the product such as this. That if it was branded in a different way, I think the clean simplicity of it is attractive to a lot of people. I think that the fact that we went D2C online was a good decision as well, rather than trying to please or trying to beg retailers to list us in the early days. Being in control of our own destiny.
I think the recruitment process, the way we've taken time on recruiting, making sure we get the best hooligans working with us, that's been a real good move. It's taken a bit longer, and sometimes it's been a bit painful because we've needed to fill a role quite quickly and we haven't been able to, but you've waited and got the right person who maybe had notice in their previous job. I think that's been a really important thing.
I think we've built a very strong team. I think being mission-based as a business really attracts the right type of people to a business, and I think that's made a big difference to us. I think investing heavily in social from quite early days, both paid and organic socials, really paid dividends as well. We've built a very, really positive and engaged audience. I haven't seen that, any other brand I've worked for, and I think they've made a big difference to spreading the word about the brand.
For me, there's a clear win. It's the powder, Huel powder, and I particularly like the banana flavour, but the powder because it's the original ingredients. The ingredients I'm most proud of. I'm really proud of the tweaks we made to Black Edition, but look, Huel powder's got us to where we are. So I'm obviously proud of that.
For me personally, just in terms of personal usage, Black Edition is now my current favourite. Vanilla Black Edition. Sometimes a bit of coffee in it. Sometimes I put, just coffee and ice in it. But arguably my favourite at the moment is a product that's not actually live. So
that product.
Well, there's two of them as well. There's two that we're currently in development with, and I think both of those, for different reasons, we've had some trials from the kitchen yesterday, which were incredibly good. So arguably they're both my favourite at the moment, those two different products.
Yeah. Because I've not been in the office.
Top secret, obviously.
I've not seen some of these products.
Watch this space.
It's powder for me because it's great. Although during lockdown, I've developed an addiction to chocolate bars, Huel bars. You should see my bin by my desk.
They are quite Moorish, aren't they?
Yeah, I did 7 the other day. 7 in an hour.
So in terms of difficulty, obviously the main difficulty was getting the bloody thing made. That was the hardest thing.
Yeah, finding someone would take us seriously.
Yeah.
Some of my connections didn't work out. Remember, we went up to Manchester to see Chocolate Your Bars.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
we
I
were
do
on the
remember
train.
now.
We were on the train. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good bonding time, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. So why did we? What happened there then? Why did we go and see him? Was he trying
Because
to get advice? He was going to make it.
No, he just started his own contract manufacturing side of his business as well. Because he was doing his own supplement line, and he was doing the bulk powdered stuff. Not bulk powders, but the equivalent of bulk powders.
Yeah.
His own brand. So he was finding it better to do it himself. So obviously he had more capacity on his line. But you remember, it wasn't big. It was probably as big as the length of this room, the whole blending facility.
But he couldn't do it because of what reason?
He pulled out in the end. He was just doing an hour and became inefficient. I think you got the arse with him, which understandable.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Well, we had quite a lot of bullshitters. We had, I'm not going to name the name, but obviously the big company.
The big one.
The big one who let us down. So that was nearly the final straw.
And I remember, because at that time I had my the shop for Muscle Talk and the clothing. I was doing my consultancy and I had some staff there, and then the lady who sort of was the office manager at the time was, you'd been into the office, Julian, that one time, and she'd sort of briefly met you, and she told about the project. She said, "You've got to keep an eye on this project, James. This is the one that's going to work for you." That's what she said.
You still speak to her?
Yeah, we went out for a meal around Christmas time with her and her husband. Yeah.
Did she tell you?
Yeah,
told you.
Yeah, she did.
I told you it was right.
Did. Yeah, she did. She's a really good friend, and it was it's good advice. I mean, I said, I think this is going to go somewhere. This didn't realise it was going to go quite this far good. I thought it'd be a nice, good little business.
What else happened pre-launch?
Pre-launch, yeah. I remember you getting a bit. We spoke on the phone a lot. I think we only met like 3 or 4 times in the whole year.
Yeah.
But we spoke on the phone quite a bit, and you were getting a bit annoyed sometime with that big company you just mentioned that let us down. I thought, how are we going to get this thing going? And then you found they were your contacts, weren't they?
Let's go back through and recall everybody else, because that day when that big company turned me down, after stringing me along for 4 months, and I was probably over 12 months into the whole project, I just thought this is never going to go anywhere. And that was a day when I nearly pulled the plug and went, that's it, I'm done. I've done 12 months, not earned a single penny, not even close to launching, and have got nobody to make the product. So it felt like I'd gone all the way back to square one, and nearly thought that was it. So that day was
I remember
a hard day.
You called me about when that company had let you down, and I said, look, there's still other people to try.
Yeah.
But you clearly got your motivation back, like
Following morning,
like usual. You have your little throw your teddy out, and then he's back on it again.
Yeah, I got a bit emotional on the following day. I just thought, sod this. They're not gonna stop me. So I went back on, and just that day, I think I spoke to our current manufacturer. Yeah. And then we eventually did a deal with them and launched.
And
June.
That was great. I mean, in a way, I'm glad it went that way, because they're a brilliant partner.
They're a brilliant partner. Yeah, we still work with them today. So 5 years later, we're still working with the same people. They're still our sole manufacturer in the UK for powder.
Well, in Europe, the whole of Europe, aren't they?
Yeah, I think we only had one.
We've had a few little ones, but most of them are in good humour in the respect of the group. I can remember. I think too.
James knows that I'm quite stroppy. And I think he doesn't take it to heart. Is that right? Would you say?
To be frank, I did in the early days find it a little bit difficult on occasion. But part of that, I think, was down to me as well, because if we're speaking frankly here, I'd sort of come from a business where I'd always been the boss and the only guy who's sort of calling the shots. And then we've got Julian here, who's who makes it quite clear who the boss is. You know what I mean? And it can be it was challenging at first, because there was a couple of times you did get quite stroppy, but half an hour later I was over it. Yeah. And then now it really doesn't bother me. No. Not at all. And it hasn't done for years.
Yeah, I can be quite stroppy. I'm quite demanding, but and I get quite passionate about stuff, but I'm the same with myself as well. If you sit next to me at my desk, you probably hear me swearing at myself quite a lot.
And I do that as well, actually.
Telling myself what an idiot I am for doing stuff. And so I do probably sometimes, because I know that I don't mean any harm when I say it. I feel like the other person shouldn't take offence from it. But clearly when people do hear me like that, they probably can take offence if they don't know me too well.
Yeah.
So I don't think we've never had a falling out, really.
No, we've never fallen out.
We've never fallen out.
Maybe it's got disagreement. We've disagreed on some nutrition stuff in groups with other people, and they just sort of let us sit back and watch.
But that's healthy. I think
healthy debate.
You need sort of two sides to.
It's good,
and then you end up getting a compromise in the middle.
And I think Julian's marketing background and business background, and my sort of more science-based background, are a good complement, because they can be quite opposite. And then I get challenged because I can be quite linear sometimes in the way I view things. So I get challenged, and that makes me think, okay. And then I'll maybe look down another avenue from a science perspective.
Yeah, you keep me in line and I keep you in line.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So it's funny stories. I'm not sure there's many funny stories. There's a
There's
lot of pain and heartache. I'm not sure how many funny stories.
The week of launch, when we got invited down to Sky Television, Eamon Holmes, and we drove all the way down there. And
you came to my house about 3 o'clock in the morning, when at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I picked Julian up because I thought it'd be a good time to chat and go down to London to the Sky offices, to Eamon Holmes. We got down there and we went in the door and says, No, we got in the car park. We were driving into the car park, going past the security guy. He goes, "Who are you?" He said, "We're coming to be going on live TV this afternoon." Oh, this morning. This morning. Yeah. And I think it was just as we got into the car park, we got a phone call saying they've bumped you because of the blockade strike,
at Calais. At Calais, there was a disruption there, so they've been bumped for that. They said, and then we drove home a bit disappointed and stopped.
But it was on the way home. This is true. That I've just been doing some consultancy, and so Julian said, "Look, we just launched, and I'm going to need someone." He sort of formally invited me into the company as the co-founder in that trip. So it wasn't a waste of time.
Well, we had this question the other day whether we'd do anything differently, and both of us said no, because sometimes you could look back and go, well, I would have done that differently, but that might have led us on a different path. And where we've ended up is where we want, is better than probably what both of us thought, in terms of, the sort of the culture, the team that we built, the impact we've had in terms of the number of meals we've sold. The end result is better than what we wanted. Yeah. So arguably, looking back, I wouldn't change anything. You can look back and go, well, they made a lot of mistakes, but maybe you had to make those mistakes to get where you are today.
And at the time they were stressful, the mistakes, but I'm kind of glad they happened. But maybe there's a Julian and James in a parallel universe that made the mistakes and didn't learn from them and haven't got a successful company.